Alright, are you curious about cock worship and why it can be so deeply erotic and healing? This video is going to explore what cock worship is, why it works, and how to practice it with presence and devotion. I'm Brandon the Dom. Let's dive in. How much do you love your partner's cock? How much joy and pleasure does it bring you? When was the last time you told your man to lay back, relax, and allowed yourself to completely worship him? I'm not just talking about a hand job or a blow job that's done with enthusiasm and a good attitude, though we really enjoy that. I mean giving full-hearted, deeply devoted, all-consuming attention and touch to his member to show him just how much you love it. Today, we're uncovering the sacred art of cock worship and how you can give the man that you respect, appreciate, and love a gift that doesn't just tell him how you feel, but lets him feel it as if he were a god. And of course, how to make it truly amazing, arousing experience for you, your partner, and the beloved cock in question. So first, what is cock worship? Well, consider the word worship. Worship means to show a deep reverence, honor, and devotion to a divine being, a sacred power, or something highly esteemed. Now take that same intention and energy that you would direct towards a god and channel it towards your partner's cock, as if it was the most esteemed cock in the world. That's cock worship. In cock worship, you offer excessive amounts of present moment awareness and loving attention to a man's cock, or to a partner wearing a strap-on dildo, whatever you would like. You shower it with praise, celebrate everything that's great about it, and make it feel aroused, powerful, and deeply appreciated through slow, deliberate touch. For the more spiritually inclined, elements of ritual or ceremony can be woven into the experience to heighten that sense of reverence, connecting the ordinary with the transcendent. Now let's distinguish between cock worship, hand jobs, or a blowjob. Now while cock worship may include the use of the hands and the mouth, the intention and focus behind those actions are fundamentally different. Typically, hand jobs and blowjobs are aimed at stimulation that lead towards orgasm and ejaculation. They tend to be repetitive, efficient, and goal-oriented. Even when slowed down, the underlying direction is often towards climax. With cock worship, the goal is elongated pleasure, both physical and psychological, regardless of if ejaculation happens or not. Every inch of the cock and the surrounding pelvic area is going to be given attention, and a wide variety of techniques, touches, and body parts might be used during this cock worship. Because let's be honest, it feels good to have your cock touched by breasts, feet, forearms, cheeks, vulvas, thighs, and pretty much any body part. There's also a greater amount of admiration, no matter what state of arousal the cock is in, from being soft to fully erect, because a penis doesn't need to be hard in order to receive pleasure, and cock worship honors that truth. Now let's talk about cock worship versus a tantric lingam massage. So lingam is the Sanskrit word for penis, and lingam massage, often described as a counterpart to a yoni massage, is a tantric practice that uses specific techniques to activate sexual energy and help a man to release energetic or emotional blockages that may limit his capacity for deep pleasure. These massages often include full body touch and can last for several hours. Some of the practices and techniques that are used in a lingam massage may appear in cock worship, but it's this difference in intention that separates the two. Tantric massage practices focus on cultivating energy and embodied presence within the receiver. Pleasure, whether during or after the massage, is sort of a secondary benefit, and the experience itself is not inherently sexual, even when genital touch is involved. Cock worship, on the other hand, is rooted in reverence and admiration, with pleasure as a primary goal. The cock is not merely being stimulated, it's being honored in the process. So now, why engage in cock worship? The gift of cock worship is that the man receiving it gets to do just that, sit back and receive. He is invited to surrender to the person worshiping and allow himself to take in presence and pleasure that unfolds in that space. While the act seems simple, the effects are anything but trivial. For many men, being worshipped isn't just about stroking the ego. It provides genuine nourishment to their self-esteem. Yes, we all strive to create internal validation and self-security, but a healthy self-esteem also requires appropriate doses of external validation. Without it, we risk becoming delusional. either shrinking into self-doubt or inflating the ego beyond reality. And consider the cultural message that many men receive. Their worth is tied almost exclusively to what they do, how they perform, rather than who they are. And when they do perform in any area of life, they are far more likely to encounter criticism than praise. Many men, quite simply, are praise starved. And it's not just women that are inundated with body image messaging. Men receive a constant barrage of messages about how their body is supposed to look, how big their muscles should be, including the one downstairs. And this too can lead to body dysmorphia. That performance pressure doesn't disappear in the bedroom. Men are expected to be hard on command and perform flawlessly every time. Ironically, this mindset can create the opposite effect, leading to looping sexual performance anxiety. If you're wondering what sexual performance anxiety is, I recommend checking out the video that I'll link down below. It'll talk more about this loop and what happens. As the partner, even if you are completely satisfied with his cock, he may still carry insecurities shaped by past experiences, feeling inadequate about his size, shape, or appearance. So when someone doesn't just simply pleasure a man's cock but worships it, the experience can feel a little bit like finding water in the desert. He receives the message that he is worthy of reverence, that he is praised and cherished for who he is, with no performance required. He also gets to practice fully receiving a gift, something that many men struggle with after years of performing for validation. Allowing that level of attention, love, and devotion can actually feel deeply vulnerable, especially when affection has historically felt conditional or scarce. So cock worship can help to dissolve these insecurities and begin healing emotional wounds. It communicates again and again that regardless of how he feels about his cock, the partner he loves and adores is genuinely satisfied with the pleasure that it gives. And gratitude plays a crucial role here. We often appreciate our partners internally, but fail to express it out loud, eventually taking them for granted as a constant in our lives. In sex especially, we tend to focus on what needs fixing rather than naming what's already great. Even more rare is explicitly expressing love for your partner's cock. So if you're the type of person that gets hot just thinking about your partner's member, then it's time to say that, to let him know how much his cock truly means to you. And penis worship often comes as a surprise to men, as most women are never taught to openly express lust and admiration for the male form in this way. For the worshiper, the act itself can be a profound honor, basically devoting yourself to the cock that you have chosen. Unsurprisingly, the practice is often just as erotic or transformational for the worshiper as it is the worshipped. Think about how much pleasure something becomes when you bring conscious attention and deep gratitude to it, like savoring a decadent slice of chocolate cake or washing a new car that you're proud of. The same satisfaction can be experienced with his cock. And after worshiping it so thoroughly during a session, it's going to feel even more incredible to experience it inside you. All of this creates an experience that is both deeply intimate, rooted in devotion and love, and powerfully erotic, which, if you are in a dom-sub dynamic, can help reinforce those roles within that power exchange relationship. So now let's talk about how to engage in cock worship. Unlike a tantric lingam massage, which typically follows a structured sequence designed to guide the receiver through a specific energetic journey, cock worship is far more improvised and fluid. That said, if this is something that you and your partner enjoy, you may eventually create a ritual around worship that is uniquely tailored to him and deeply pleasurable for both of you. So rather than outlining rigid steps, let's focus on the principles and building blocks that create a truly powerful worship experience. All right, principle number 1 is this is for him. The most important principle to understand is you are giving a gift, and gifts come with no expectation of something in return. Cock worship is not about you. It's entirely about him. There's no covert contract that says, if I give you this experience, then you'll do what I want, because that unspoken bargain only reinforces the very performance-driven and validation cycle that we're trying to dissolve. Truly unconditional gifts, especially sexual ones, are rare in our culture, which is precisely what makes cock worship so impactful. The experience is about you serving and him receiving. So ask him what he wants more of. Ask him what he loves, what he desires, and what feels especially good. He may want you to repeat something that you've already done, or he may surprise you with a fantasy or idea he's never felt safe expressing before. As long as it's within your limits, approach his request with enthusiasm and openness. Principle number 2 is completely own your experience. So it's easy to get caught up in trying to do techniques, what you do with your hands, with your mouth, with your body. But what he wants most is to see you fully and wholeheartedly appreciating, lusting after, and revering in his manhood. Cock worship can be deeply arousing for the giver. So own that. Own that your pussy is wet while you're doing it. Own that your heart is bursting with love for your man. And tell him. Tell him with your words. Tell him with your eyes. Tell him through sound, movement, and the raw authenticity of your desire. Own your arousal. Own your devotion. And own the fact that you love worshiping his cock. And look at his member. Let yourself enter a zone where it becomes your entire world, where you want to memorize every ridge, every vein, every curve with your tongue and hands. Stay connected to his eyes. Touch him, lick him, and show him the depth of your passion, not just for his cock, but how it makes you feel. And try to stay fully present with all of that through the ritual. Be wholeheartedly present with yourself, with him, and the experience as it continues to unfold. Principle number 3 is to talk ahead of time. So remember some of those insecurities and emotional layers that we discussed earlier. Taking time to talk with him beforehand, especially about his feelings regarding being worshipped and his cock specifically, may surface sensitivities or wounds that you can consciously soothe during the experience. This is also the perfect time to gather insight into how he likes to be touched and what he's secretly craving more of. As with any form of erotic play, this conversation allows you to both speak about your boundaries and limitations. And that clarity is going to make him feel safer to ask for what he wants and to make you more confident in navigating what he does and does not enjoy. Communication sets the stage for surrender, trust, and a truly transformative act of devotion. Principle number 4 is to curate a worship space. Consider what a place of worship feels like. While you don't need to go to the extremes, taking time to intentionally prepare the space can go a long way in helping both of you remain present and immersed in the experience. So start by cleaning, organizing, and tidying the area. Physical clutter creates mental clutter, and distraction pulls attention away from reverence. Then prepare a comfortable place for your partner to be during the ritual. This might be lying on a massage table, resting on cushions or mats on the floor, stretched out on the bed, or even seated in a comfortable chair or piece of furniture. Choose whatever allows him to relax and fully receive. Then set the mood by attending to temperature, lighting, music, and scent. Here are some general guidelines that you can think about. For lighting, harsh light can make it really hard to relax and stay focused, so use soft lighting instead. Warm colors such as yellows, reds, and pinks can create a more sensual and inviting atmosphere. Also think about temperature. Make sure the room is warm enough to be comfortably naked for an extended period. As blood moves closer to the skin during arousal, the body can become more sensitive to cold. For music, choose music that is gentle, sensual, and free of lyrics or harsh rhythms. There are dozens of playlists available. Just make sure that you're using a paid service, because ads are going to be extremely disruptive to presence. And then scents. Scents can be very personal, so it's best to ask beforehand. And sometimes incense with like vanilla or sandalwood or earthy tones can work beautifully, but not every person's going to enjoy them, so ask. Beyond these basics, incorporate elements that you think is going to enhance the experience or that you know he enjoys. This might include a particular outfit for you, luxurious fabrics like silk, or soft textures and blankets to rest on. All right, principle number 5 is to slow down. The biggest mistake you can make is rushing this experience. This isn't your everyday blowjob rushing to the finish line. Take your time. Cock worship can easily last an hour or more, especially if you're both fully enjoying the experience. To stretch that experience and deepen its impact, begin very slow and build gradually. You might start by simply sitting or kneeling in front of your man in complete silence. Meet his eyes, take a few deep breaths, and refine your presence by noticing the sound of his breathing, the way his body moves, and the energy of his cock. By slowing down, you allow time for blood to flow to those erogenous zones and arousal to build naturally. You also create space for a more mental and emotional connection with every inch of his body. So if you think you're going slow enough, go slower. Principle number 6 is to cover every inch. I want you to touch everywhere, every single inch. So this means giving attention to areas that may be neglected. His balls, his perineum, the base, the shaft, the tip, worshipping all of it from top to bottom. If you know your partner enjoys it, you may also include the anus in this and spend some time massaging the muscles around his pelvis. These are areas that are frequently overlooked and often hold significant tension. And with every touch, stay conscious of what kind of contact feels most pleasurable for that specific area. You may notice spots that feel stiff, places where he resists, or moments where his body tenses in response. These are invitations to slow down even more, offering extended, patient attention and allowing him to gradually soften into your touch. Right, principle number 7 is to praise him. So combining the physical devotion with spoken praise is what takes cock worship to the next level. Just like women, men also often carry hang-ups about their appearance, smell, or taste of their own penis. So hearing him speak about his cock with reverence and appreciation can be profoundly healing and intensely erotic. If you already know what your man feels insecure about, let that guide you in what you choose to praise, because areas of sensitivity often become the most powerful places for affirmation. So here are some examples. Your cock feels so powerful in my hands. I love how your cock bends slightly to the left. I can't get enough of your cock. I love your cock when it's soft. You fill my mouth so completely. I want to worship your cock every day. I love everything about your cock. I love how you taste in my mouth. Whatever you say, the praise must be genuine, because if it doesn't feel sincere, it'll land as condescending, manipulating, or patronizing. And praise only holds power when it comes from someone whose opinion matters to us, someone he trusts and feels safe with. So when praise rings false, it's going to lose its erotic and emotional charge and can even erode trust. I also encourage you to focus on intimacy deepening praise rather than performance-based praise. Performance-based praise validates somebody for what they do. It says, you're doing a good job in what I want, so I'll reward you with affirmation. Intimacy deepening praise, on the other hand, has nothing to do with performance. It says, you don't have to do anything to earn this. I see you, I feel you, that you affect me. This kind of praise invites the person to feel proud of who they are, not just what they did. The words is going to land into the heart and nervous system, not the ego. It doesn't affirm what happened. It reveals how the connection feels, how they feel to you. All right, principle number 8 is use a variety of stimulation. Many people assume that men just want something that has rhythm, repetitive stroking along the shaft until ejaculation. And that assumption keeps pleasure locked in a goal-orientated paradigm where pleasure equals orgasm. So while jerking him off may make him come, it won't necessarily make cock worship deeply satisfying. So instead, use a variety of touches, motions, and ways of engaging with his cock, both when it's hard and when it's soft. This is especially important because men believe that their cock is only worthy of reverence when it's rock hard. In reality, the penis cycles through different levels of firmness throughout the experience, and different touches are going to feel best at different times. For example, cock warming, which is the act of basically just holding the cock in your mouth, can feel incredible when it's semi-flaccid. Generally, slower, more fluid motions tend to be the best, but experiment with pressure, speed, and texture, and avoid falling into the rote up and down movements for most of the session, unless he explicitly asks for that. Beyond technique, also vary what you're touching him with. Hands and mouths are wonderful, but other body parts, such as feet, breasts, thighs, hair, pussy lips without penetration can be incredibly pleasurable. These sensations often feel more erotic because they're less familiar, or because they tap into specific kinks. You may also incorporate toys, oil, or sensory items. Whatever you use, make sure it feels spectacular for him and that you're offering it with reverence. All right, principle number 9 is to keep eye contact. So when you're touching, licking, kissing, or sucking his cock, look up at him. One of our deepest desires is to be seen, and maintaining eye contact during cock worship communicates, I see you, I want you, and I'm fully devoted to worshiping every inch of you. That level of presence intensifies both intimacy and arousal. And then final principle, principle number 10, is to finish how he wants. If the worship is deeply arousing, your partner may naturally climax during the ritual without added intensity. Other men may need a little more vigor in order to finish. And doing intercourse after this experience can be deeply pleasurable because you're both charged with desire, and he'll be so attuned to the sensations of his cock that everything's going to feel amplified. That said, this experience is about him. He may want to come in a specific way, position, or place on your body. As long as it's within your limits, allow him to take the lead and take what he wants. And it may not be obvious at first, but he may not want to come at all. And that's perfectly okay, because cock worship can be intense and deeply nourishing, sometimes leaving him pleasantly exhausted or simply want to savor the experience without ejaculation. Pleasure does not have to end in release to be complete. All right, now let's talk about being on the receiving end, how to receive cock worship. While it may seem obvious about how to receive cock worship, accepting devoted service from another person can be surprisingly difficult, especially for high-performing dominants. If you truly want to experience this gift fully, there's a few things that you can do to open yourself to receiving it. So here's some tips for the person receiving the worship. First is to give direction. Tell your submissive or the person worshiping you how you want to be worshipped. Tell them what to wear. Tell them how to touch you. Imagine yourself as a god who gets to decide exactly what will please you or them to demonstrate their devotion. Clear direction isn't demanding, it's generous and allows your partner to serve you well. The second thing is to not endure. If something doesn't feel right, then say so. Ask for an adjustment. This experience is for you, and the person worshiping wants to please you fully. Enduring discomfort out of politeness only takes you both out of the moment. My next tip is to relax and accept it. It's not often that the dominant person is invited to surrender, but that's exactly what's required here. You're not surrendering your control over to the other person because you remain firmly in charge. I just told you to tell that person what you want. Instead, you're surrendering to the experience of your own pleasure, your sensations, and your emotions, because whatever arises is welcome, and more than welcome actually. It's appreciated and worshipped. And with that, my next tip is to be vulnerable. If you have insecurities, share them. Giving your partner insight into your inner world allows the experience not only to become physically pleasurable, but emotionally supportive and even healing. That vulnerability is going to deepen the devotion. And then, of course, thank them for their service. When the experience is complete, thank your devotee for their worship. That gratitude is the pleasure that the giver is receiving in return, knowing how deeply that they pleased you. And you don't have to wait till the end. Express appreciation throughout the ritual through your sounds, your movements, and your visible enjoyment. Receiving worship is a skill, and the more that you fully allow yourself to receive, the more powerful and transformational the experience is going to become for both of you. At the base of cock worship is using presence to create pleasure. It's not about technique or performance or getting it right. It's about slowing down enough to allow that worship to be felt in the body, not just understood in the mind. This becomes a powerful exchange between you and your partner. One partner offers focused attention, gratitude, and service. The other person receives without earning, proving, or performing. And in that space, the insecurities can soften. So whether you approach this as a ritual, as just play every once in a while, as an act of devotion, what matters most is that you entered into it willingly, enthusiastically, and care for both people involved. Because when it's done with care, it's going to nourish self-esteem. It's going to reinforce that polarity between you and strengthen the bond of dominant and submissive, not despite the power imbalance, but because that imbalance is held with intention, respect, and love. It's a practice that reminds us that pleasure doesn't have to be rushed, that validation doesn't have to be earned, and that we can support each other with tenderness. So when you commit to this process, you may find that you guys create something that is far more fulfilling than you could ever imagine. Now, earlier in this video, I mentioned the practice of cock warming. If you want to find out more about what that is, I recommend checking out my video on cock warming. That'll go through techniques and different ways that you can do it and incorporate it into your play. So check out that video, and thank you so much for your time and attention.